Hello everyone and welcome back to TowerGate. It is TowerGate day number 877. 877. August 24th, 2019, Saturday. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay, got a couple interesting stories for you today, as well as just some crazy stuff from the left. Can't avoid that. It's literally every day. Every day. And we only hit a fraction of it. Just a fraction of it. Okay, so let's follow up. Of course, yesterday we talked about the fact that on Thursday, Judicial Watch was going to court to try to petition the court to allow them to hold a deposition hearing with the rotten Reverend Clinton. They wanted to depose Hillary. And so that's the main thing that the court hearing was about. So the court hearing has happened, and now the results of it are the following. Judge Lamberth has granted Judicial Watch the request for more witnesses to be deposed, and he has given them 4 more months to conduct these additional depositions. And this is to complete their discovery, which is what is going on right now in this case. And of course, this has to do with the Clinton Benghazi emails, as well as Clinton's emails in general, her server, and of course the attempts by Clinton and the DOJ and the State Department to cover up or thwart the ability of Judicial Watch to, conduct their discovery, which has been granted by the court. So all these are issues that are sort of in the purview of what's happening in this legal case right now. Also, the judge said that Hillary advised Hillary's lawyer. She wasn't actually there, but there were lawyers there for the rotten Reverend Clinton. Not only that, there were DOJ attorneys there representing Hillary Clinton, and we assume probably from the State Department as well. So lots of lawyers for Hillary at that hearing, and it looks like they're giving Hillary's attorney 30 days to make the case why she should not have to stand for a deposition. Now, if the judge has gone this far in this case with Judicial Watch, and he is up to this point pretty much granted just about everything they've wanted in terms of depositions, some in person, some written, I would expect that unless the rotten Reverend's attorneys can come up with something really good, that he's probably going to find again in favor of Judicial Watch. I think it's probably more than likely that it will be a written deposition, because that's what they got from her last time they took it to this extent. Was a couple years ago, maybe 2 years ago. She was also forced to stand for deposition, but it was written. And of course they found her answers unsatisfactory, and that is how the case continued and continued and continued. And so now we're back here about 2 years removed from there, and it's back to wanting to question Hillary again. The last time, again, they granted a deposition, but in written form, and of course the judge even agreed that her answers were very evasive, not probably totally truthful, and that sort of thing. So I think it's looking good in this case for Judicial Watch. I think ultimately the rotten Reverend Clinton is going to have to answer some questions. Whether or not it's in person or whether it's written, I don't know. But either way, it's getting the answers, right? So anyway, I think that that's good news to report for Judicial Watch today. Now, this is just one of those days when the left has completely gone off the rails again, and this happens every day. But just to give you an idea what we're talking about here, how far gone the left is and the Demo-Commie Party, this is just one day's worth of craziness from the left, and this is just a few. So, just today alone, excuse me, just today alone, we had NBC News, who hosted some radical feminist who made the argument on that show that heterosexuality is just not working. Heterosexuality is just not working. Unbelievable. I don't even know how to respond to that, really. It's been working for well for the modern human for the past, 10,000 years. I'm not exactly sure how the nuts like this woman think that we would be able to proliferate the race, the human race, without heterosexuality. Oh, I'm sure they got some sort of a grand idea, probably a petri dish or something, but growing humans in test tubes, I don't know what their idea would be, but this is an insane statement, considering I think that about 95% of the people in the country are probably heterosexual. You never know that. If you watch the left, you would think that 95% of the people in the country are gay, but they're not. It's actually the other way around. They just make all the noise and get all the headlines, and this is just insanity. Not to mention a lot of other things, but this is insanity, and this is on NBC News. This was not a joke. This was a serious segment on one of the three major network news programs. I mean, even 10 years ago, this would not have even been considered by any newsroom that you would put something like this on NBC News or ABC or CBS. This is how far gone these people are, and they're gone, man. They're gone. Whatever. I don't. They were bad before, but Trump has done something that's it's pushed their buttons, and now they're gone over the edge. They're beyond. I think they're beyond recovery. I think when Trump gets reelected, there's going to be a massive mental health crisis across the country, and you're going to have literally millions and millions and millions of leftists in some serious deep therapy. Probably, and the bad part about that is probably most of their therapists will be as far to the left as they are. As is usually the case. You have the crazy trying to advise the crazy. Then it will get really crazy. Then we have, of course, Crazy Joe, speaking to a group of folks on healthcare. I believe he was in either New Hampshire or one of these early primary states. Speaking on healthcare, and he's talking about RFK, and in the process of talking about RFK, he says to the audience to imagine if Barack Obama had been assassinated. Okay. Well, Barack Obama would not have been assassinated like RFK. RFK was assassinated because he was likely, if he won the presidency, was likely going to reopen that case into his brother's assassination and unearth the crimes of the deep state. Barack Obama never had to worry about upsetting the deep state because he was their boy. So you would never have to imagine that. He also said that in talking about health care, in addition to say, yes, we're going to raise your premiums, in addition to that, he said, quote, we'll make sure it's not quality, and we'll make sure it's only affordable. Man, oh man. Now, the good news is that only 20 people attended his speech, so only 20 people heard that until, of course, now it's all over the, well, it's not on the left-wing media, of course, but it's on most of your, I guess you'd say right-wing or Republican or conservative type websites now are obviously have it up there because it's just another day and another day of Crazy Joe Biden. I mean, it's just, and this is not the only gaffes in that particular speech. It was others, but I got to move on. We had Pelosi speaking at a Democratic fundraising event, and she says, in 2020 we have to be ready to take a punch, and therefore you have to be ready to throw a punch. Throw a punch for the children. Throw a punch for the children. And at first you hear the audience, they're not sure what to think about it. There's like a 2 or 3 second delay. And then Perez, who's standing next to Pelosi, stands up, and she's like a deer in the headlights looking out into the audience, looking like the crazy woman that she is. And she's about as nutty as Biden is. Her mind's about as far gone as his is. And he stands up and starts to clap, and then you start to hear a few people go, okay, are we... Throw a punch for the children? Okay, I guess. Oh, my God. Oh, of course, and then we have CNN. Oh, yeah, CNN, the Commie News Network. They've hired Andy McCabe as a commentator. Oh my goodness gracious, man. They've hired McCabe as a commentator. They have more ex-Obama spies and FBI hacks working at CNN than they do actual reporters. Of course, there are no actual reporters at CNN. But this is just insanity, man. And, you know, here in about 2 to 3, 4 weeks, maybe, we're told that the IG report's going to come out, and it's going to be very damning. We assume that and there'll be criminal referrals. We can assume that certainly will be for McCabe, who's already under a criminal referral, or 2 or 3. And, you know, since I'm on this topic, I can tell you right now that when the Horowitz report comes out, or any allegations that are made against the deep state, against the Democrats, or trying to explain what happened during 2015, 2016, 2017, and beyond, when this all comes out, I absolutely guarantee you that there'll be a complete media blackout. ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, none of these people are going to touch it until they absolutely have to, and then they're going to try to spin it. Yes, that's exactly what they're going to do. You will not get the truth. All the people on the left watching CNN and all the others, they will not get the truth about the Horowitz report, the criminal referrals, all the things that were done with the FISA court. You can bet first there'll be a media blackout until they can't do that anymore, and then they will start to spin. They will just start to spin. They'll just lie. Yes, that's right. That's what you can expect. Let's see. We have Commie Byrne saying that fossil fuel executives should be criminally prosecuted. Fossil fuel executives should be criminally prosecuted. Well, now, Byrne has 2 or 3 homes, a couple of real nice luxury sedans that are probably gas guzzlers. He uses that product every day. He uses lots of energy to power those 3 homes he's got. Therefore, that would make him an accessory. That would make him an accessory to the fossil fuel CEOs, and therefore he should also be criminally prosecuted as an accessory to the crime. We have a representative from New Jersey named Tom Malinowski, and he's giving a speech, a fundraiser, and he says, yeah, we need illegal immigrants to mow our beautiful lawns. God. Can you imagine if a Republican had said that? Oh, but he's a Democrat, so he'll get a pass. No problem. And we have Buttigieg. Yes, that's right, Booty Boy. Booty Boy saying that Trump is causing a mental health crisis by being so stressful. I don't know, he's causing the Chinese a lot of stress, I can tell you that. And the deep state, they're very stressed out. And of course, the left-wing crazy mob, they're beyond stressed out. They're at this point beyond the point of no return, in my opinion. I don't think you can wind this one back in. They're gone. I'm saying there'll literally be millions after 2020. Trump wins re-election in 2020. There'll literally be millions of left-wing nut jobs, commies, demo commies, who will literally have to be institutionalized. Will be in heavy treatment for mental illness. It's going to become like an epidemic. Maybe we'll get lucky and they'll actually move out of the country this time. And like they said, they always promise that they will do, but they never actually do. Maybe they will actually leave the country this time. It would be fantastic. A country with no liberals. Man, that sounds like utopia. That's like Xanadu. Xanadu. Okay, well, it looks like RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, has just underwent 3 weeks of radiation therapy for a malignant tumor on her pancreas. The pancreas, you don't hear it talked about much, but it's pretty important. Pretty important. You don't want to lose your pancreas. And you'd rather not have cancer on your pancreas, but I don't wish any thing like this on Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Nothing like that at all. I hope she's doing well. I hope she's fully recovered, and I hope at some point that she realizes that she's needs to tend to her medical issues, and it's time for her to leave the court. So Trump can appoint another constitutionalist, another originalist. That's what I'm talking about. If Trump, I should say, when Trump wins his second term, he's probably going to get at least 2 more appointments on the court. We could have a, see, it's 4-3, 5-3. We could have a 6-3 court. We could have a 6-3 court, although Roberts, you can't really count him. Roberts votes with the liberals every time. Obviously hates Trump. They got something on him. I don't know what. But, you know, in reality, it won't be a 6-3. But, you know, in terms of Republican-Democrat, it will be a 6-3. So, there you go. Now, we also have this lawyer who represents 3 of Epstein's victims, saying that a prison source, just prison source, has contacted him and told him that Epstein was murdered. Yeah, that's news. Now, oddly, Bill Barr earlier in the week said so far, what he's seen so far, he believes that, you know, suicide's, you know, he's perfectly good with that. They don't have any problem with that. Thinks it's perfectly fine. I don't know. That's not a good sign, really. But I guess it would be hard for Bill Barr to come out and say, yeah, I think there might be something else going on. But I would rather him have just said, I'm not going to comment until the investigation is over. But at this point, as far as the coroner's report is concerned, he seems to be okay with the finding that it was a suicide. But, you know, doesn't change my mind. You know, like I said, I knew he was going to be hit or whisked out of there. And I'm still not so sure that he wasn't whisked out of there. I don't know that. CIA does body swaps all the time. And remember, Epstein was, I'm certain, an intelligence asset for somebody. Maybe the U.S., maybe the Israelis, I don't know who. Europeans, I don't know. But I think he was an intelligence asset. Maybe, and I think if he was taken out, it was probably something like that. Something from the underworld. And I'd say it's still 50-50. I'd say still 50-50. I don't believe anything. I don't know anything. And I don't trust the establishment. I just don't trust them. They lie all the time. They lie about everything. So I just don't believe them. It's just, you know, that's the way it is. Let's see. Oh, yeah, the Obamas have purchased a $15 million beachfront mansion in Martha's Vineyard. $15 million beachfront mansion in Martha's Vineyard. Now, I would assume that the Ocasio-Cortezes and the Bernie Sanders of the world would be very upset, because that's probably going to leave a fairly large carbon footprint. They already own a home in a couple blocks from the White House, where Valerie Jarrett is working on the coup, along with Lawfare. We have he has another home in Hawaii. So I don't know how many homes this guy's got around the world. I don't know how he got so much money. It's you know, but it's the Obamas, so they'll get a free pass. He's about to be caught up, and probably it's going to be obvious here at some point within, I'd say certainly before 2020, it's going to be well known that he was one of the head plotters in the Spygate conspiracy. But the left will probably praise him, probably give him awards, and he will become a hero of the left for being one of the head coup plotters. Now, for most of us, we would think that would be embarrassing, and he'll go down as history as having been the most corrupt president ever, and all these sort of things. But among the left, he will go down as a major, major hero. Absolutely, 100%. He can do no wrong. He can do no wrong. As far as they're concerned, the dude walks on water. David Koch is dead. His brother's still alive. They're pretty much anti-Trumpers. They're certainly they certainly don't like his policy positions on trade, his China tariffs, Make America Great Again. None of those things are very interesting to the Kochs. I've never had much use for the Koch brothers myself. So, you know, whoop-de-doo. Oh, boy. Another dead globalist. Now, many of you have seen a couple of these interviews. He's done several now from this former, recently resigned or former CEO of Overstock.com, who was, of course, the founder. Seemed like a pretty smart guy, but he's kind of a strange guy as well. But talking about Patrick Byrne, who's been doing these TV interviews. He did one on Fox, did one on CNN. He's done several others. And, of course, I'm sure many of you have seen these interviews. The one I watched was about 20 minutes long, and Martha McCallum just let him ramble for the most part. And, you know, he's kind of scatterbrainy about his story, and I'm not so sure I understand. After 20 minutes of it, I'm still not so sure I understand what the gist of what he's saying is, other than the following things that he puts out there, which is he says that the whole Russiagate hoax was all about political espionage. Well, yeah, that's true. Okay, yeah, it was all about political espionage. I think many of us have known that for a very long time. He says that the men in black came to see him, and they said they wanted him to have a relationship with this woman, Maria Butina, who he had met when he was giving a speech somewhere, I guess at NRA convention or something, and that's where he met her. They became kind of social friends. Then he says that the men in black came to see him. They wanted him to have some sort of a relationship with her, so he put on a fake relationship to fool them into thinking he was. The whole 9 yards. It gets kind of weird. He goes into it, but he always stops short of actually really dropping the bombshell, because he says he couldn't really talk about these things right now, but that he's given this information to attorneys at the DOJ, and this information has, of course, been passed on to Barr, and we can assume at this point, these two meetings he had with DOJ lawyers occurred back in April of this past year, and so he's certain things he can't talk about, I guess, but apparently Barr and Durham have read his sort of, I guess, for lack of a better term, deposition, or what he's told the DOJ, that they're aware of it. He says that Peter's been stroking us was the one giving the orders to the guys who came and visited him, the men in black. But he says that it was deep staters who actually were behind it all, and that Peter's been stroking us is just a puppet. He says that the FBI was running espionage on the Rotten Reverend Clinton, Trump, Rubio, and Ted Cruz. He describes the deep staters behind the plot as individuals X, Y, and Z. He says we all know who they are. And he says that Bill Barr certainly now knows who they are. And he also says that Comey was involved. Now, both Comey and McCabe have responded to Byrne's interviews, and they kind of give a non-denial denial. They sort of go into like denying little details and generalities, like saying, oh, that's not how the FBI works, blah, 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 blah. But they don't really come out and deny specifically, and of course Byrne is then asked about their comments, and he says they're lying through their teeth. And of course I believe that. So anyway, I'm not sure what to make about Mr. Byrne. I think he's probably fairly straight up. He's obviously not a dummy. He seems sincere, but again, he seems a little scatterbrained in a way. He kind of bounces all over the place. He doesn't really stay on a point very long before he bounces over here, and then you're like, whoa, okay, now we're here, and then we're here. I couldn't follow him very well. I'm not sure what the end game is to what he's saying. He's saying things that most of us already know about the political espionage plot and various other things. So, and as far as wanting him to hook up with this Maria Butina, who's now in jail, of course, there's just a lot of strange things. I think he's believable. I guess. I mean, I believe what he's saying. I'm not sure I totally understand it. Hopefully, when we get more document releases, maybe we'll see some of the stuff he's talking about show up, because some of it's kind of out there. It's not really been, we know about the Maria Butina stuff, and she was sent by Russians, and she's trying to do this and do that. I mean, that stuff's kind of out there, but it was never really tied into Spygate. So he kind of ties that situation into Spygate, and talks about the political espionage, and so I don't know. It's just I'm not sure really what to make of it at this point. So I guess we'll all find out. At some point we'll find out how much of this is legitimate or matters to the story that we're covering. Sure, it has some relationship. Certainly be interested to find out who these characters are he's talking about that he names as X, Y, and Z. They're obviously people, would be administration level people, I would assume. Because he makes it sound like they're higher up than FBI heads or DOJ heads. They're higher up than that, and of course that would put you into the administration, and Obama and his cabinet is where that puts you. So we will find out, I imagine, in time what to make of Mr. Byrne. But pretty interesting character, and probably worth watching that interview with Martha McCallum. It's interesting, but I'm not sure where to go with it all. Looks like there's been a special prosecutor named by a judge to look into the Jussie Smollett case, and we'll be looking at two things. The main thing I think they want to look at is why the charges were dropped. The whole deal there, why those charges were dropped, why he got that deal cut, and the whole 9 yards. So that's one thing they're going to look at. But in the process of looking at that, they're also going to look at the crime itself, and that it's, according to the article I read, this prosecutor could bring charges against Smollett if, in fact, he finds the evidence. And of course, I think we all know there was overwhelming evidence of his guilt. But I think a lot of it's focused on how that whole thing was handled. And again, it doesn't exonerate him by any stretch. So I guess I expect that he'll try to countersue on racial discrimination or discriminating because he's gay or something. This will be the tactic he will use. He's threatened it before. I don't know if he's ever paid. He was supposed to pay like $130,000. I don't think he ever paid the money. So this case just gets stranger and stranger. In a lot of ways, I mean, I think the guy's going to get away with it. I honestly do. I think it seems very political. It seems like the reason this is being done is because there's just to bring, they want to bury it. And the best way to bury it is to appoint a special counsel, have him investigate it, and say, well, there's a lot of things probably shouldn't have been done or whatever, but blah, 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 blah. But, no laws are broken. That's what we usually get. Yeah, things were probably done the way they should have been. No laws are broken, but we need to come up with some new regulations. We need to reinforce and strengthen some regulations. This is what I hate hearing. I always hate hearing that. Yeah, these corrupt people shouldn't have done what they did, but there was no crimes actually committed. They shouldn't have done what they did, but there was no crimes. But we need to come up with some more rules and regulations. After these people violate every damn rule and regulation that there is in the book, knowing good and well what they were doing was wrong and criminal, they did it anyway. And then we're supposed to be satisfied when they come in and say, well, we're going to create some more rules and regulations. Well, if you're not prosecuted for violating the rules and regulations in the first place, then what good is it to have more rules and regulations that will easily be violated and no one will ever be held accountable for when they violate them? They're just going to say, well, we need some more rules and regulations. We just create more and more rules and regulations, but we never actually prosecute the perps when they violate them. That's what really, I think, chaps most people's ass about all of this. If this happens in Spygate, I am literally going to pull my hair out. If they come out and say, yeah, well, we've investigated it, and a lot of things that were done that shouldn't have been done, but nothing really rises to the level of a crime. But so what we need to do is we need to come up with some new rules and regulations about the FISA court and how you get FISA warrants. Remember, that's how we got the Woods process. The Woods process was supposed to be the thing that was supposed to stop this. Never supposed to happen again. So they created the Woods process. It's like, we got the Woods process now. That's it. This is it. You got to follow this process, and if you don't, you're going to be in trouble. So we get the Woods process. They completely blow it off. Violate it completely. So what they're going to back and tell us what? We need Woods Process 2. We need Woods Process 2. We're really going to get tough on them now. We're going to have some new tough, really tough rules and regulations they have to follow. Nope, they better not try that on me. I will be pissed. Papagalopoulos tweeting today, tweeting up a couple of newspapers from Italy. I don't read Italian, and therefore I have no idea what they say. But according to Papagalopoulos' tweet, the hottest story in Italy right now, making the front page of all the papers there, is the Spygate fiasco, and his role, and about Trump, and of course we just learned it was Vincenzo Scotti, who had a lot more to do with setting up Papagalopoulos than we had previously known. He was the guy who was running Mifsud. Scotti was running Mifsud. So the question is, who was running Scotti? Who was running Vincenzo Scotti? That will be the next question that maybe Mr. Durham can look into while he's in Italy. John Solomon on Sean Hannity says the IG report has been concluded. It is complete. It has been given to Attorney General Barr. And he's saying that we can expect in the next 2 to 3 weeks that the IG report will be released. That will be followed by Huckleberry Horowitz going over to the Hill. He will be questioned and he'll give testimony in front of the House Judiciary and the Senate Judiciary Committees, typically. Then somewhere, either just prior to the IG report or maybe just after the IG report, is supposedly when all these 10 buckets of documents are to be released. And that's what John Solomon is reporting. So we will find out if all that occurs. Again, you can expect once that occurs that there will be a complete media blackout on the truth. You can expect a complete media blackout on the truth when they cannot ignore it any longer. Then they will begin to spin it. And we will have to watch and just see how this works out. But when you look at the totality of everything that's building right now, if things work the way that they should work, we are going to see a complete, absolute, we are literally watching. If things happen the way they should happen in a real sane world, with just a monochrome of truth and justice, just a tiny bit, we are witnessing, number one, the complete self-destruction of a political party, the Demo-Commie Party. We're watching it literally melt down in front of our very eyes. I don't know if it survives. If Biden, if crazy Joe Biden or Warren or Sanders are the nominees, I think that party's done. I don't think they could recover from that. And that's why I think they're going to bring in the Rotten Reverend at the 11th hour to come in and try to salvage what's left. But if things play out the way they should, all of this fallout from Spygate, the IG report, the Durham investigation should hit just about the time that the 2020 campaign is really kicking in. It could be an unbelievable experience, you might say, for everyone. So we'll be watching. We are certainly getting to the point where it's time to put up or shut up, and we're going to find out how things go here in the not too distant future. We're getting very close. Thank you for tuning in. I'll be back with more TowerGate. See ya. Bye.